Hello guys, hope everyone's doing okay. Um, yeah, so we're going to be getting on to head Groom today. Not done any work off stream this time, however I have done a few software updates, so I'm now using a more up-to-date version of Arnold and Yeti. I've switched from Arnold 7.0.0.3 to 7.1.1.0. And then Yeti, I've gone from 4.10 to 4.14. So I don't think there's any major performance differences. I've updated both of those so that I can potentially look into using some shader plugins and also using Lentil for depth of field. Having some tech issues with that though, so I kind of need to leave that for a little bit. But everything's kind of ready, the software version is compatible. I've done a test run, I can still groom, I can still I can still render it. This is a fresh render, it's not a saved one. So yeah, it should all work. So with that being said, we're just going to get into grooming the head hair today. Nothing too crazy. His hair is relatively simple. Now obviously I am using Yeti, which isn't ideal for digital grooming. I just wanted to kind of give it a chance. So we're not going to be able to match it, I don't think, but we'll see how close we can get. In terms of reference, we obviously have all these ones, which will serve as quite loose reference. I feel like this image has to be flipped, because in the painting, or maybe, in fact, no, he's drawing from a mirror, yeah, so obviously we're going to use this as our like direction ref, and we're just going to have to use these images as kind of like length and the way his hair flows and the way his hair clumps, because there's very little information we can get from this painting. We can see some areas where hair is kind of suggested to fall forward, like here. And we can see that it kind of blends over the ear a little bit. But part of that is the beard as well. So we're going to have to kind of figure out a lot of areas. This bit is interesting, in that the hair is visibly curling up, which I'm interpreting as the hair is actually brushed forward. So from a side view, I'm interpreting it as like the hair on the other side is like sweeping up, so it's not really parting, it's trying to go over to the other side. But maybe I'm wrong. I mean, that could be the way it is as well. We'll figure that out. But yeah, so I'm just gonna get started on that. I'm gonna quickly move stuff on my other screen a little bit, and then we'll take it from there. As always, if there's any questions, do feel free to ask. But for now, I'm just gonna scale all that around on my screen so I can see what I'm doing. And we got a geometry vaguely in place, so I'm going to make a low res cage version of that, which I think can be in one of these layers. Okay, so we don't need that one. We can probably unload all the mesh references pretty soon. There we go. So we need a low res version of this. In fact, it's not actually that low res, so I might do some automatic maps. I can just drop it into Mari to use as visual reference. But yeah, we'll just automatic map it and export it as is. So going to mapping, automatic map. Give that a moment to do its thing. Cool. So that has UVs. So now Yeti. Mari won't have to make any PTEX data. So let's get that exported. Export selection. Modeling, Maya, exports, cage, we'll just call this one head, hair, cage, underscore geo. I'm getting this into Katana. So we just need to go into the objects. I can delete that, I think. I'll keep it in for now. Let's add the new object. And then I'm just going to add this in the other screen. Projects, person projects, John Singer Sargent, modeling, Maya, exports, cage, head hair cage. And yes. So again, we'll just be using this as like a visual guide. Okay, there we go. So we got all this stuff here, which actually we do need to make backdrops for these as well. Just kind of keep things clean. So let's just do that. Backdrop. Nope. I don't want the vector brush. Peach fuzz. Okay. This one is eyebrows. Mustache. Even though it is just a single node, we may as well backdrop it anyway. Backdrop. And this one was for beard. Cool. So we got that. So let's go in and create a new channel. So this one is going to be fur. God, what are we going to name this one? I guess we could go for hair. No, let's go with head hair. For head hair. Then this one's going to be a mask. And I think 2K should be fine. We can always up-res if we need to. So let's just go with that. Okay, and let's create a paint node. And this one we want to default to black. Okay, and that should be fine. We don't need 16-bit or anything. Then paint, got that. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we're just going to go into fur head hair. We should load it as a shader. It's another thing where it's really slow again. Okay, so let's quickly save the scene, close it, reopen it. There we go. I'm just going to create a surface. Okay, we got specular. Refusing to show it. There we go. Okay, what's going on with this performance? I might need to temporarily hide these. Kill that. Okay, there we go. So let's just turn on mirror projecting. Then let's go with a nice sharp brush. Let's go to painting, or shelf even. Basic brushes, the one brush. Okay, and we'll just quickly paint a basic hairline, which I think should be around here. Okay. So the mask is just functioning as like a bound, like the hair cannot go above or beyond these areas. That's not black. That's not black either. There we go. I have a feeling I've messed up one of my color settings in Mari. So I've been having loads of issues with like setting it to black. It doesn't actually produce a black value. I think maybe my color picker LUT, or not LUT, sorry, IDT I think is the name for it. we got something like that. We're just gonna get something basic for now. We'll extend it a little bit further than we need because density will pull it back. I just need to make sure that nowhere that I would never want hair to grow is in this map. Okay, there we go. Something like that will do. Cool, so let's just create some new channels. So this one is going to be named density with a capital D. Then this guy, we need to delete, create a new paint node. This one should default to 0.5 gray. Do you often update the density map after checking it in Yeti, or do you paint it once and that's it? Oh, I paint it multiple times. I don't think you'd ever be able to do like a good density map while also not doing multiple iterations. Mask is a different story. Mask, I feel like you can just do once and it's probably fine most of the time, because if you did a mask correctly, in my opinion, you're going to have more area than you need rather than less, which makes life very easy. Okay, so we got that. Let's just... Okay, what time was that in the stream? 19, okay, so 1 second. 19, 10. So I just need to make note of something. Because usually with Action I paint inside Maya, so updating the map is faster, but since I want to learn Yeti, I don't know how it is. So you can paint Yeti maps in Maya. You just have to learn how to use the Artisan tool, but I don't like the Artisan tool. I prefer to paint in Mari. Updating is quite easy though. Like, you can paint in Mari the moment you save out that file. Yeti isn't like Action where you have to then convert it to Pt.13 and back. It just reads the file. So all you have to do is clear the cache, or literally just display a different node in your node graph and then go back to the current one, and it will update that density map. And in the case of using Katana like I am, I actually don't even need to go into Maya anymore. I can set up my node graph and my guides, take that into Katana, and then when I'm updating my maps from Mari, it will pick up those changes as soon as I hit render. Because it's just looking for an image path, and if that image has changed, it doesn't care, it'll just reload it. Which is, I find, quite helpful. Granted, I need to do a lot of work to these grooms, so they're not exactly a good demonstration of that. But yeah, you can update your density maps after the fact, which I quite like. But yeah, so we got our density map. Let's just do a multiply. Like that. Okay, and then this density map, we're just going to paint a lower value. Let's go with let's go with a lower number, something like that. Okay. So I'm actually going to change to a different brush. I guess in this case we could use slow flow to get a nice soft blend. There we go. And we need the other one to be 0.5. Which is still slightly brighter. Yeah, I've definitely got some kind of color space issue going. But I don't want to use this. I want to like take my raw pixels, which actually that might do it. Nah, close enough. But yeah, so we can get a nice soft result from this. Just soften that hairline back a little bit. So I will be doing a more textured density map later. One with a bit more variation, but for now this will do. One thing I'm wondering is, do I want to do like a little bit of bolding? Like, do I want to kind of do them dirty and add that? I think I do. It would make lighting, it would make rendering a little bit lighter as well. So let's just do that. We'll do that as a placeholder, because most of today's stream will be guide work. Like, a vast majority of today's stream will be guide work. So I'm not too worried about doing all the crazy density stuff. Because this ideally should blend to black at the end there, because otherwise we're going to get a really harsh line. But I don't know if my mask is in the right place yet. So let's go into channels. I'm going to export current channel flattened. And then we're just going to call that channel TIFF. Okay, and we'll do the same with the other one. Head density. Current channel. Okay, let's get back into Maya. So I'm going to put this in the display layer, which I don't know if it's in one already. No, it's not. Okay, let's assign the Blinn 8 material, which we're using as that. Should probably name it at some point, but it doesn't really matter too much. So grab this guy, Yeti, create Yeti node and mesh for head hair. Drag that into our Grooms group. I'm just going to copy some settings from this. So let's go into beard shape. Go to other. That's where we add our texture search path. So now I can just go in, copy some of this stuff, drag that in there, replace this. Okay. This expression is just multiplying them together. So I'm plugging the mask into float input 0, which is F0, and plugging density into F1, which is F1, so it's just F0 multiplied by F1. And that will basically make sure that my density map is doing the overall generation of hairs, but they will never grow hairs outside the mask, because multiply by 0 and you get 0. So we got that guy. I'm going to add these as well. Okay, and then we can plug this guy into density. There we go. So I'll have to pull that mask back a fair bit by those things. Let's just go to this. Yes, to me it looks like we're going to have to pull that mask back a fair bit. This area is looking decent. We need to pull it back a little bit there as well. In fact, this entire area needs to go up. So that's a mask change. Yes, I think mask is the main thing that needs to change. So let's just save our scene. Give that a moment to do its thing. Saving takes a while just because the amount of curves I've got in my scene. Not Groom curves, like actual NURBS curves. I've got a lot of them. But yeah, so let's go to our mask. Go to this guy. And so we need this to be further back, which I'm going to switch this. We need that to be further back. And then that to be further up. Like that. Maybe even further back. Let's find out. What I'll do is placeholder. Although that is a very unnatural hairline. We'll get back to that. Let's just export our mask. And all we need to do for that to update is we should be able to just, preview a different node. Although that is cached, so let's go into Yeti, clear display cache. I'll just regenerate all the grooms quickly. Oh, I should have done. There we go. So that's considerably closer. I need to find someone's hairline. Shaved head. I find shaved heads a really easy way to find hairlines on guys. Side. Male. I'm looking for this on off stream. Shaved head male. Searching side just means that they shaved the sides. It's annoying how few of these images are from the side view. Okay. I think for this to work, we need to pull that up a bit, pull that a bit sharper. So let's give that a go. Do you have any plans to make Yeti tutorial like your XGen1? Because as you know, Yeti has much less resources. That would be really good. It's something I planned for a while. I just never got around to doing it. Back when I was planning it, I ended up moving to Canada, which kind of put a halt to any plans of making tutorials. And then as soon as I got over to Canada, I've ended up having a lot of other stuff that I have to do, like a lot of other responsibilities. So I've just not got round to it. It is something that I've definitely thought about, though. I do actually have, like, on my desktop, let me just go find something. I do have a document. This one. I wrote this over a year ago now. And it's like a full plan for Yeti series. I mean, by all means, print screen this, and there's some information in here. Like, there's some small stuff anyway. This is the bastard. Installing Yeti is still something that confuses me, but I still don't know how this works. I haven't installed it to Maya enough times. I've updated it a few times. I've never done fresh installs since doing it the first time. And I think this bit still holds true. The parting system in Yeti is awful. But there's some information in here that I need to build up. Okay, so let's just get that. But yeah, I've been considering it for a while. It's just such a huge undertaking. Like my XGen1 took me, I think, 6 months to do. It took fucking ages to do the XGen1. Part of that was like through flip normal standards. Like they had very high standards with audio quality, which is fair. But the restriction of background noise basically meant that I could only record like certain hours in the day when my girlfriend was out. And if there was an ambulance that went by, I'd have to like do a re-recording of a section. Like it got a nightmare. And considering that at the time, how can we get this document? It's literally just a text document on my desktop. It's not made it past that stage yet. This is pretty bad. Let's just quickly... Ah. There we go. I think this line is a little bit vertical, but... well, or horizontal, sorry. But let's just export flattened, export current channel flattened. Okay, Maya. Let's just go Yeti flush display cache selected. I've pulled that bit too far forward, but the rest of it's matching pretty close now. Need a little bit to be shaved back here, but that can be done in density map. And I think the rest of that can be done in density map too. So, what we're going to do with that is start building up the guides. At least the first pass. So let's just go Yeti, create Groom on selected mesh. This one is going to be fur, head, hair. GRM. Drag that into our utility group, which is just where I'm putting all my Groom nodes. And I'm not going to connect it to the head hair yet. I'm just going to use this as reference, like for guide placement. So let's go into Edit Groom, go into there, go into Tools and Settings, hide that, add guides. I hate this. There we go. Cool. We need to mirror this. Now we've got that. Save our scene. And I can start building out some guides. Just waiting for it to find a vertex. Oh, there we go. I'm just going to place some vague guides. I'm placing out mesh vertices because I find that's easier to control. And I'm not worrying about the length yet. Just because with Yeti I find it easier to do length secondary. Since you can actually just paint maps. In fact, you can actually just paint a length map in Mari or an equivalent tool. Which I find is quite a fun workflow when I need to do something that's like a very clean shave. Actually, we don't need that guide yet. We're going to need to pull the hairline back in this area. Okay. Let's go to that guy. So, for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to work symmetrically with the sides first, and that will just make my life a lot easier. So, because the top I'm going to need to, at the top of the hair I'm going to need to do a fair bit of length improvement. So let's just do something like that. I'll get this very vaguely in place. This will probably need to be longer for it to work. Let's just see how that looks. In fact, let's get the... So his head is actually very shaved at the sides normally. Yeah, I'll probably have to reduce the length in this area. His beard also blends very far up. Actually, this line in general is quite aggressive. So I might need to push that out earlier. Yeah, we'll make this side bit shorter. I think this is going to be my best ref right now. Okay, there we go. So that will do. Up. Do we have any images of the back of his head? So his hair curls forward quite a lot by those things. Oh, we're getting the back guides there. Basically, if our brush projects through, because I'm turning off a base surface normal, I'm projecting all the way through. But symmetry doesn't work properly, I've found, if you have a base surface normal turned on. Because it doesn't seem to do that symmetrically. Stuff like that will do. Okay. Drag these guys down, because they really don't require much effort at all. We'll never see the back of the head, so it's pointless to do anything too complex. I think this is where we're going to start to need the hair length going up. So let's just do a quick thing like that. In fact, actually, no, this area might be okay as it is. It's this area needs to go shorter. So let's just do that. Go into Attribute Paint. I guess 0.75 for this dude. Although 0.5 should be fine for him. Okay, the top's gonna need a lot more length. So let's just go 2 as a placeholder. Okay, and we will iron out that. There we go, nice gradient. So, go back into the Sculpt tool. This guy might need to be a bit longer. I'll make him long and then we can cut him in a moment. So we're already getting to an area where it becomes destructive because we don't want the hair doing the same thing on that side, I don't think. We can obviously figure it out as we go, but my gut reaction is saying that's not what we want. This hair needs to travel down more. Okay, there we go. Maybe even longer on top. Maybe like value of 3. Something like that will do. Okay, so let's just go through now and place a few guides. Set a initial strand length of 3. We're just going to do all the hairs that are on the top. All the hairs that want to have a rough, like very approximate length of 3. Okay. So that will do. Go over an approximate length of 2. Again, all this is going to change in later versions, but let's just get some generic stuff going on. The rest is going to be easy to do a gradient once I've got everything in place. So let's just get... Oh, I've got the top in place. So something like that will do. And let's do an extremely quick brush back. In fact, we'll do that with a comb. Okay. Elevate. Oh, that's smooth. Invert that. Yeti devs, if you're ever watching this, please add a quick button to invert this fall off curve. Okay, there we go. That'll do for now. Cool, so now we're going to have to turn off symmetry and start doing some actual guide work. So, we're going to focus on this area first. Let's grab him. And he's clearly going that way, so we'll just get that. In fact, this is probably the first set of guides that's falling. Like that. Now he's falling forward. Get him, bring him down. Just gonna put that on my other screen for a moment. Can make it a little bit bigger on my other screen. There we go. Okay, just pull that like that. really how hairs form. There we go. We're just going to set this to conform new strands. And that will allow us to... There we go. Okay, there we go. Hair might be hair might need to be longer in this area. Like just at this front bit. I'm gonna need the hair to tilt forward here. Is that hair longer? There we go. I know we're going outside the sculpt there, but that's fine. Just pull that down. Just kind of letting the hair kind of flop over. Actually, I think by extension then that needs to be... oh, I've accidentally been sculpting back here. I think this needs to come forward then. This area is definitely going to give us a lot of trouble to get it right. I don't exactly have high-res ref. Probably should have done a bit more ref hunting before I do this. Okay, so then this area back here needs to be going that way. Yeah, I think this top section, the hairs need to be longer. So let's set a value of 4. I can always pull it back. Mirror axis. I'm gonna try to use, except for the fringe, I'm gonna try to use mirror mode when placing guides, just so I keep them all vaguely symmetrical in terms of light length variation. Stuff like that will do. So I see now we need to re-sculpt some of our guides. I'll say some of them, all of them. That will do. Bump that up. Go. I don't like the way this is sitting. It either has to go back to do something interesting, or it has to fit with this dude. Which actually, come to think of it, his shape is kind of weird. We need to ignore that stroke. We've kind of mistargeted that a little bit. I need to rebuild this as well. Resample by count. Let's go 8. No, 12. There we go. We'll have to do quite a lot of cleanup in this, I think, for this groom to look any good. Okay. Him next. Okay, so the top of his hair, what's that going to be doing? Looks like his hair mostly flows forward and then curls. Except for here. Overall, his hair is quite featureless, which is simultaneously a blessing and a curse, because it means it needs to be done just right for it to actually look any realistic. Because like you probably notice in a lot of CG grooms, like they have that exact kind of featureless thing in their guides, where there wasn't much actual kind of thought put into how hair flows. Which is fine, I mean, there are hairstyles like this guys that look like that. But the problem is, when you're replicating that, it's very easy for it to look fake when there's not much like added detail. Stuff like that will do. We're just going to bump you up a little bit. Resample that. Okay, go next. Okay, you. That works. I feel like that should kind of fall over though. It's like with the pressure of the hairs around it, it's kind of pushing it out of the way. And by extension, this guy needs to do some weird shit. How are we going to balance him out? So for that is going to be interesting, actually. So I think... I don't know if he cuts his own hair, but this is definitely not a professional barber. Granted, this is in the late 1800s or early 1900s. So maybe this is a professional barber. People could just do whatever jobs he wanted at that point. Like I could just turn around and say I'm a doctor in like the 1850s, and if I had some cool looking oils, that would work. But the length is incredibly uneven. So I can get away with kind of arbitrary guide lengths, and it will actually kind of add to the realism, weirdly. Like, the better the barber, the more fake the hair looks. It's kind of funky. Okay, let's pull that up like that. That works. So then you're next. And I think this hair needs to be longer. Okay, it doesn't actually allow it. Let's go 0.2. Okay, sculpt that to what we need. Okay, so we're gonna need that to... Is this gonna be an angle break? I think, no, this needs to be an angle break. Okay, so let's just do that. And then we want it to follow the hairs around it. Kind of wish I didn't sculpt this hair mesh with a thickness. It wasn't intentional, but it means that I've got this kind of double face thing. Like, there's a face here and a face there. Which, with stream quality, you guys might only be able to see that inner face, so it'll look like I'm going like way above what my actual mesh is doing. Okay, we're going to sample that and use that same length, so 3. Let's just round that up. Okay, and so we're going to set this to like 2.5. There we go. Okay, so this bit is going to need to do some of that. Let's pull that forward to get a little bit more interest out of it. This stuff down here is fine. I'm just going to block out for now. I think these need to be longer as well. What's their length set to? Maybe they don't need to be longer. Maybe my actual volume is too high. Or maybe my scalp is too low. More than likely a scalp. Okay, we need it to tilt forward though. All of his hair tilts forward a little bit. Which you're not doing either. Let's resample that. I need to find a way to recolor that button. Okay, we're just going to sample this guy. So that will do. Maybe let's go 3.5 for him. Because the way his hair was cut, it seems like it's longer back here. The flows here are kind of interesting. And getting that kind of like bad haircut layered feel is going to be actually quite tricky. Let's just resample that. So I think his hair needs to kind of start just falling straight down at this point. Okay. You I'm not going to worry about. Okay. Where's the crown going? The crown's going to be about here, right? This back section is going to just be rushed through. Yeah, we definitely need to increase the length on these guys back here. So let's just go to them. Set this to 4. They're already 4. Let's set this to 0.25. Whenever I increase the length, it will sample it by this. So increasing that segment length will just make it a little bit less CVs. Because generally speaking, if your guides are lower CV count, they're a bit easier to control. Not always, but most of the time. Okay, we're going to need to get these two going way over that way. Forward, kill him up, get something interesting out of him. There we go. Sweep him over that way. I guess we do need him to kind of sweep forward a bit more, given the way I want to blend them. Something like that will do. Go. Right, so this area starts to get a little bit complex. So we need him to be longer, and we need him to curl up that way. So, why do I think that? When we look at this reference, we're getting this curl here, which to me feels like the hair is kind of twisting on itself and curling back up. So I'll kind of illustrate that as I groom. You'll kind of see what I think I see. Basically, this side's going to come further forward, which means that all this stuff is going to try to go up. So there's no true parting, really. There's going to be a crown still, but there's no real parting. the hair's going to flow forward on that side. So I'm just going to do that. Let's just do the same for these guys. Direction. We use direction to kind of block them out. Just realize how much quicker that will be. We sample. Like that. Okay, so these guys here should do something like that. And I feel like this, you see that shape now? You got this little curl here and the big hairs going straight over. That's what I'm seeing. I could be completely wrong, but that's the way I'm interpreting that. So that's what I'm going to try to do as the first few passes. Getting the length of these guys is going to be a bit of a bitch, but we'll try our best. Yeah, I'll accept that guide. I'll let him stay. So we're going to need to really force this shape in. I think my original sculpt of this region was completely wrong. A nice side effect of doing this style as well, like the way this parting happens, or lack of parting, is that I don't have to deal with Yeti's like really shitty parting system, which is always a win in my opinion. Like there was a groom I did for a pitch back when I worked at Blue Zoo. Now obviously I'm not going to discuss the nature of the pitch, but there was a character that I had to groom which had a style of hair where I had to do, I think the final count was like 12 partings for it to work. And it was the single worst grooming experience I've had professionally. My worst grooming experience is definitely as a student. Like my first time doing a next-gen pipeline was a fucking nightmare. But beyond that, professionally, that groom pitch was the worst. Like it was so difficult. And it was difficult because of Yeti, not because of the asset that was in the pitch. Okay, we're gonna pump that up a bit. No, that's already set to 4. Alright, cool. So I'm gonna put the parting here, which I'm gonna quickly block out with a few of these guys. So let's just get you, you, and you. We're going to set all those length. Grab this guy, and just one at a time, let's just get a parting going. Oh, not a parting, a crown. Now, crown's a tricky one to get right. The amount of guides that you can need sometimes to get them is kind of scary. But like, hairs like that one. The key to partings is that the hairs stand up quite a lot. Like, they don't have a huge, like, well, the key to crowns I found is the hair sticks up quite a lot. It's not that often that the crowns lie flat, unless the hair is, like, styled in some way that requires that. I'm sure there's, like, hundreds of examples where that's not the case, but it's what I found as a general rule of thumb works quite well. Is that really the same length? Oh, I painted him to... Okay, I'm an idiot. There we go, that's what I expected to see. I did wonder why it got shorter. Let's just quickly fix that up. So that will do. which by nature means that this area needs now to be pushed over. So we're just going to do that. Going to deselect, oh, fuck's sake. Do one guide at a time. I have no idea how groomers out there can do like multiple guides at the same time. Like, I see it quite frequently, and there are some instances where it does work out. For me, creature grooming works quite well if you do multiple guides at the same time, like sculpting wise. But for digitables, I've never been able to make that work. Like, I always end up just with a bit too much chaos as a result. Okay. We still need this to be facing forward. Let's do this by length. Okay, let's... There we go. So, let's get this plugged in. It's gonna look awful, but we'll get it plugged in to begin with. So let's just go into our outliner. What the fuck is the outliner? Cool. Head hair. Input grooms, add grooms, groom utility, head hair, boom. Close that. Go into the Yeti graph editor. Let's actually open that back up and tear it off again. I'll put it back on my other screen as I had it before. It's a very helpful thing to have on the other screen. So now we can close you, move you way over, add a comb to the end of this guy, create a new import, set that to groom, and throw those two in. Beautiful. Goes without saying, it's incredibly rough, but it will do for like starting to figure out some values. It's very simplistic back here though. We need obviously a lot of guides for this to actually work. Let's just hide that for a moment. So this area needs more volume, we're seeing immediately, but then that area doesn't have guides yet, so it makes sense. Let's block out our values. So we're going to have a width node, which I'm going to set like that, like that, like that, and then get a bit of randomness in there. And then the overall width multiplier is 0.01, is a baseline that works. The grow node needs way more CV, so let's go 24. Okay. So density wise, we need this to be roughly, in this guy's case, I'd say about 70,000. His hair is quite dark, but then he is old, so around 70,000 hairs. Currently we have 28,000 particles, so we need to at least double the density. I'm going to go 250, and that's approximately the right number of hairs. If we go back into this, 70,000, there you go. I'll go a little bit high, in fact no, I won't, not that. Because we do have the low density back here, which is going to kind of subtract that by like 5,000 or so. In fact, no, we will bump that a tiny bit. What does 300 give us? 84,000. That will do, I think. Might still be on the high end. Let's go 275. We got 77, 77765. Kind of satisfying, honestly. Okay, so now we've got that. Let's just quickly drag these two. I'm gonna plug the mask into there. Subtract that. Let's just round it up to 28. Grow, comb. Okay, this is our first layer of clumps, which are the really small ones. So we're just going to create a clump node, connect that up there, connect you in there. Okay. There we go. Then we'll need another layer of clumping, which will go one lower. This will be our large clumps. This one will be roughly 4 times smaller, so 7, I guess. In fact, yeah, it divides very cleanly. Yeah, so this guy go into our base attraction set to 0. I always set base attraction to 0. I don't know why it defaults to anything else, honestly. And then once we got our actual final clumps in there we go. So we can add one layer above that, but for now I'm going to leave it out. Let's just drag these out. Okay, we got our width, so we'll add the scraggle. Okay, so scraggle is scraggle frizz. This will help the hair feel a bit drier. Alright, this is multiplied by length. Okay, we're just going to 0.5. Get some scraggle random in there. I say some, max it out. Multiply it by length. Okay. So for that, we'll do for now. I feel like this width is a bit much. But then we just need to add some strays, and then we can start to continue. Well, continue on doing guide work. Let's go 0.05, so 5% of hairs. Crank that up. I always like to turn off maintain length with this sort of stuff. Let's do that. Multiply by length. Okay. Something like that. Let's go a bit lower. Let's go 2.5. Okay, and then we're just going to stop like this crazy stuff down here happening. Let's just go multiply by length, which is going to send it crazy, I think. Because our hairs are longer than 1. Yep. But then we can just pull this back. So let's go like 2. change the frequency of this guy. There we go, that's better. Then we'll do one final Scraggle, so this one is Scraggle Strays. I just realised I missed the question. Will Yeti work? With Yeti, it can work much better if you have low resource PC. Better than XGen? Honestly, I'm not sure. And one thing that I always like to tell people with low resource machines is, like, yes, obviously you should have as much resource as possible, but a scene is only as heavy as you make it. Like, any person's PC can render a cube. So, if you have resource problems, it's something like Yeti. Don't go for super realistic grooms. Like, maybe try doing something that is more stylized, so you don't need as much detail. Go with something that's like less dense hair but thicker hair, so it feels like it covers the same amount of space, but it doesn't take up as much memory to like keep it. There's like loads of things you can do to keep it low resource. So stray large. This one's going to be 0.01 and is going to go to space. Maybe actually. Perfect. Let's go multiply by length. Okay. There we go. Common question out of nowhere. Do you use any custom nodes from the web in Nuke? I did. I can't remember what it was. It was a vignette node, like H vignette or something, on the Pero project. I mean, you can check the streams, like the last, I think, 3 streams of the Pero project were in Nuke. I just use Nuke, I don't use Nuke X. So if you use Nuke and can't find the node, then it's probably from the web. Let's create a shader node. Trying to remember which one the shader node is. There we go. Okay. Does it still not work? Like specular. Yeah, specular still doesn't display. It's really weird. Okay, so we got all that in place. Before we do much else on grooming, let's just get it into Katana so we can start to get like a shader on there. Granted, this is going to look horrifically bad, but let's just go export Groom from selected Yeti node. Take that up. So modeling, publish, Groom, fur, head, hair. I think that's fine. Yep, that's fine. Then we're just going to get into Katana. drag this guy. Fur, head, hair. That's everything. Right, up there. I knew there was somewhere else I was missing it. Okay. We need another material. So let's just duplicate the peach fuzz material. This one is just going to be head hair. Which I need to lower cap that guy. I need to arrange all these guys as well, they're a little bit messy. So I just need to grab this guy, put you there, grab this guy, put you there. Okay. There we go. So we got head hair down here, which is going to rename that. Go into the color. I'm going to set that around there. I'll do as a temporary. Okay. Duplicate. Okay. And for that guy. And we just need to prune the last of these geometries. Drag that in there. Okay, and we're going to alt save this guy. I always refer to it as alt saving, but that's more like a habit from Maya. We're not actually alt saving anymore. We are manually incrementally saving it. Let's just see if this renders. It should have the texture path already set up, I think. Yeah, it does. There we go. Beautiful, perfect, no work needed. Yeah, so something I'll need to do. Like, this material by default is like way too glossy. It's also really saturated. So I'm going to disable all these guys. But no, I can't. I need to just print them later. So let's just increase the amount of melanin in there first. Just down here. Let's go like 0.5, see what that does. And then I think roughness will take the rest for us. Yeah, there we go. Needs to go even darker. I'm gonna lower the IOR as well. Let's go like 4.7, 4.8, something like that. See how that does on its own. And we will add a grease layer to this shader as well, I think. That just dims the reflections a little bit. Okay, and we'll add just a little bit more melanin. And then we need to do some more guide work, because the guides are definitely the thing holding it back most. Most being the keyword. There's a lot of issues with it. There we go. Okay. Let's leave that going for a moment. I'm going to go into here, and I'm just going to move my density map around. So density. Okay, let's go into that color picker. So it's 50. It's weird how it paints so much brighter. Like, what is the magic value I need to find? Why is it not painting to mid-grey? There we go. It's not perfect, but it will do. Just remove all this shit. Project straight through. Okay, and then we're gonna paint black, and I'm going to grab a brush that's recently caught my attention quite a lot, which is this guy. Gonna try to jitter it a little bit more. So let's go into Tool Properties, go to Position, wherever that is, Position, increase that max jitter quite a lot, and it acts more like a spray. So I'm just gonna do this around the borders. Now let's help us soften it in a little bit. And that one's going to turn off the project through. This brush has become my one true love recently. There we go. I'm not going to worry about the duck pond at the top of his head. Let's just get the density map. Export flattened, export current channel flattened. Okay, there we go. Get into here. Let's view this area. Now go to Yeti. we're going to need a map for the clumping as well. We've got 2 layers of clumping, so I may as well just do those now. Let's go into... Probably kill this off now. It's way too dark. I'll need to do a color for this, I think. Yeah, it's really dark actually. Let's just step that down a fair bit. Then we'll get some randomize in there. Okay, there we go. So let's start getting some other channels. We want a channel for fur, head, hair. Then we'll just call this one CO1 mask. So the mask for the clump ones. And we'll set the default color to white. Oh wow. Not that white. Okay. Create a paint node. That'll be fine. Okay. Okay, we're just going to vaguely do this just to loosen off the clumps towards there. We'll do the same down here as well. In fact, kind of need to do that actually. Okay, then we need to do a similar thing, but for CO2, which is clump 2s. And this one should be more restricted, so it's only the longer hairs that are going to get affected by it. So we're just going to do that basically. Something like that will do. Let's get a little bit more chaos up here. There we go. There we go. Cool, so get these exported. Let's go export flattened, export current channel. Okay, I'm just going to save the scene, close it, archive it, then archive that on over screen, personal projects, John Singer. Texturing, Mari, body, archive, and we'll just increment that. And that'll just keep us from losing too much progress if we have a crash. Cool. So, Now we just need to drag that in. So we're going to start with CO2. We're going to create a... Oh, actually we'll just duplicate one of these. Okay, I'm just going to plug that into weight. And then this will be placed with CO2 mask. Okay, there we go. So then we'll CO2 mask. Then we'll duplicate that guy, put him up here. Drag that, weight. I'm just going to call this one CO1 weight. And there we go. So I feel it's a lot more reasonable now. So now it's just a case of doing guide work for the rest of today. How's Katana doing? That's looking a lot more reasonable. Redness I'm going to reduce to 0. And let's get a lot more randomization in there. A percentage of his hairs should be way lower. Like way lower. Give us a moment to do his thing. Might go higher in the roughness. Also, at some point, I need to continue on the lighting to get it more in the ballpark of where it should be. So I think this needs to come further forward. Although, to be fair, this camera angle is more to the side. I'm gonna super quickly just throw in a RGBA, lay RGBA. Okay, so this is our base. Okay, so we're gonna do base LN in. Okay, and we're gonna set this one to what was the value we have set? 0.45. So let's go 0.45. Then the redness is 0. Then the diffuse weight is 0. And then the alpha 1. We can plug that into this guy. Plug you into that guy. You go to diffuse. Set diffuse weight to that guy. Right? So that's our base. Our secondary is white hairs. And this one is going to be 0, 0, 0 and like 0.2 or something. Okay. Let's create a what's going to be the best way to do this? User data float. Look for fur_ID. Create a jitter. And that will go into our mask. Not sure how well this will work, but let's give it a go. This needs to go into our mix. And then our result needs to be overwrite. Okay. Does this have a clamp? Let's just quickly create a clamp just in case. That ain't connecting. clamping 0, 1. It is good. Okay, so then this guy, what's going to be the best way to do that? In fact, there's something I need to test first, actually. Let's create a flat shader. Save my scene before I hit render on this guy. Okay, so it's going way above 1. Because that's, yeah, okay. We've got a full value per hair. So what we need then, delete that guy. Wait, that's not what I want. I need this to be the data input. Okay. And let's just set this to be like min. Let's set it to like 10. So that'll make it so that most hairs, 90% of hairs, are going to be lower than 0, which will get clamped. So roughly 10% of our hairs should go white with this. That is not how it worked. See what that does instead. Oh, because that needs to be set to -10. Okay, well, let's see what this does. Okay, so let's set it back to 0, set it back to 1, set this to -10. There we go. I guess it's a nice bit of variation. Obviously the final thing will have color maps with some like procedural stuff added in on top. So I just want to do another test of roughness. Let's try that at 0.4. Maybe a bit too rough now. Yeah, a bit too rough now. Let's go 3.5. Now I need to do another pass on the eyebrows as well. So it's like -8. That'll give us more white hairs and more hairs that are kind of blending towards it. seem to have done much. Check albedo pass. Oh, there's a little bit of something going on. Either way, we can now start doing some actual Groom. So, clumping, CO1, clumping, CO2. Okay, there we go. There we go. We need to get some clump noise in there too. In fact, actually, let's quickly throw some of that in as well. I'm going to set the clumping to be a little bit different. Let's go clump radius, set that to length divided by 4. No, 2 divided by length. Where's multiply? Multiply. Okay, so then we can just set this to there we go. There we go. Feels a bit more natural. We also need a percentage of these hairs to fly away. Let's go 20. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Let's go 0.2. I was thinking of it as percentages. And we'll do the same for this guy. Let's go 0.3. 0.2. Okay, so for that we'll do as a placeholder. Kill that. Get into the head hair. And then time to start placing guides for next eternity. We need that visible again. increase the length on the sides a bit. It allows me to do a bit more interesting grooming. Ah, that's not what I want. Like that. Just looking at ref remove screen. This area is going to need a fair bit of figuring out. That's a bit much right there. This is diving in too much. Just kink that out at the end and that will help quite a lot. Okay, grab this guy. noises. It's funny. You okay? That way. Actually, then I should pull back. Push down, but come out with a vengeance. Guide back here. We're only going to focus primarily around the hairline tonight, just because there's not enough time to do like a full groom. Okay, so we're gonna need a guide about here. Let's have him. Oh, let's have him do that. So we need that to be kind of a pseudo parting, where it's like not really parted, but it's not really together either. May need to do parting for this after all. I feel like actually that needs to go up quicker, which means these guides are going up too slowly. Yeah, that feels more correct to me. go. Get another guide back here. This one's going to be going almost purely forward. Okay, let's get another guide in here. Let's get one down here this time. Not going to worry too much about the length change that's happening right now. We'll just get a general feel for like the way we want the fur to go, or hair even. Actually, by this point, it should be starting to go down. In fact, actually, by this point, it should be going backwards. Which means, by extension, that guy needs to be going down. And that's what allows the hairs to change direction. Okay, we'll do that. Kind of works. the last layer to kind of go under. And the layer below that, which is this guy, will just be kicked back and then kicked forward. Okay, let's see what this is doing. Let's get this exported. So what I need to check actually is how does this Groom render if I set it to ribbons? Because it's currently set to thick like every other Groom. But I don't think I really need it to be set to that. And hell, I don't even need most of them to be set like that. Let's just set that to ribbon. And we'll just let this quickly do its thing. We'll let it get a little bit cleaner so we can do a proper A/B. Setting it to ribbon will render a little bit quicker, but will also change the appearance. And when it gets close up, it doesn't look as nice. But that said, the shader itself is built for ribbons, so it doesn't make a huge difference. So I'll let it do 2 more passes. Let's just see how that renders now if it's set to ribbon mode. I think generally it should be brighter with less defined shadows. That's generally how it looks. Interestingly, it removes some volume. Also makes the hair look less dense, which is good because mine looks a little bit too thick. Yeah, I prefer it in ribbon mode in this case. The hair shader feels a lot more natural as well. So we're going to need to get that side working a little bit better. Let's see what the main camera looks like. Also, if once we've got the eyelash groom, I think we've got all the grooms other than any cloth grooms we want to do. Yeah, so we're missing that shape. We need to shave it down more on the sides. This side needs to be bulked up a bit more. And shave down quicker. Mine feels more like a bowl cut right now. Let's try to get it matching the general shape by the end of this stream. So flatter over here, more pushed out there. Because mine feels too much like a bowl right now. Although from a distance it's reading quite well in terms of like the way it's shading. Strays feel a bit too, or the stray whites feel a bit too white though. But most of that will come through in the actual shading. So, time to attempt to get this feeling a bit more correct. What side shall we do first? I guess we should do this side first. Let's just hide you. Okay. Where is it? There it is. I need to preview that material solid, don't I? Or a bit more solid. Yeah, there we go. We're going to do a slightly different thing here than I initially expected, which is that. Having it flow backwards allows us to match the shape a lot closer. Who seem to do that sort of shit. Okay. I've got a decision to make here. Okay, let's pull that guy back. Here we're going to need to do some parting for this, for it to work. I'm not going to worry too much about the intersection there yet. Let's get everything else in place. Let's get a guide there. Let's just get this out, and then we'll very quickly add the part maps. Okay, so how to do partings. Let's add this, call it part, and then A. If that's how you do it. Then we're just going to flood this to 0. Like that. Oh, like that. And then I'm just going to paint a value of 1 here. Okay. Then we're going to duplicate that. Part underscore B. Can't remember if it has to be fully. Is there a way to invert it? I don't think there is. So I have to paint a value of 1 for these guys. Oh, we need to flood fill all of it with 0.5 on both of them. Okay, go to that one. And then we go to 1 on this guy. So part A is going to be the lower half. Let's just display the heat map, makes it a little bit more visible. Okay, go to the other one. So then it's these guys that need to be a value of 1. Like that. I need to paint a value of 0 for these guys. Then on these ones, we need these to be painted to 0. There we go. In theory, that already works. So let's just go to there. Alt save my scene. Okay. Then we're just going to show head hair. There we go. We have a parting. So obviously we need a lot of guides back here. Okay, so let's get that saved. Okay, so select you, Yeti. Closer. It's not quite right, but it's a lot closer. That's considerably better than that. We can see that kicking out just a little bit as well. Not enough though. But I think given it's 9:30, I'll call the stream there. Because we've been streaming for, let's see, 2 hours, 30 minutes. So I think that's a reasonable amount of time. But yeah, so next stream we will continue on the head hair, just to get that kind of more presentable, because currently it's obviously extremely rough. But yeah, we'll get that in place, see how that goes, and then yeah, next stream will be that. The stream after that will more than likely be skin painting. We're starting to get some details on that, get some general colour. Then we can look into clothing shortly after that, before we get back to Groom and make everything look decent, rather than just meh. These Grooms are incredibly basic at the moment, so they need a lot of work. And obviously we need to do some colour maps for them as well, but that's kind of a secondary thing. But yeah, so that's going to be it for now. I hope you guys have enjoyed or learned something on both. And yeah, I'll be streaming again later in the week, more than likely Thursday. But yeah, see you then. Bye guys.